There's a man going round taking names, and he decides who to free and who to blame. Everybody won't be treated all the same. There'll be a golden ladder reaching down when the man comes around.
So my name is Sion Lenton, and I'm the creative director of Operation Flashpoint Red River.
Well, the previous Operation Flashpoint, we fought on an island off the coast of China, I think.
Yep.
This time we have more of a mountain setting in, how do you pronounce it, Tajikistan?
Yeah, great country. Yeah, no, it's literally the opposite profile-wise of what we had in the last game. So it means that as you look around the world, you're surrounded by this wall of mountains and ravines and so on. And our engine loves that shit. It really just chews it up and spits it out for breakfast. So you've got epic vistas in the game now, and it really brings the game to life. It's also a country that is, although it's not Afghanistan, it's very close to Afghanistan, so it's very reminiscent visually of Afghanistan, and that's good for us because it's kind of it makes people make that connection between what they've seen on the TV and what they're actually playing. So it is a modern setting, basically.
Yeah, because the country is kind of located between Russia, China, and Afghanistan.
Yeah.
So you'll be fighting the Chinese again, or the Russians? Who's your opponent?
So you start off. The campaign is based on 3 acts. And the first act sees you coming into Tajikistan, basically on counterinsurgency operations. So you're fighting insurgents in the first act. And this is very much kind of the bread and butter for the Marines. This is the kind of thing they do. And there's almost an element of overconfidence in that first act. But then the Chinese, the People's Liberation Army, move into Tajikistan in the second act, the Empire Strikes Back act, as I like to call it, because basically they want these insurgents out of their doorstep, and so basically the Americans are kind of caught in the middle of this situation between the insurgents and the Chinese, and they very much get hammered in the second act. But being America, they pull it back, you know, and the third act sees you really pushing back against the PLA. The reason we use the PLA is one of the things about Flashpoint is it's about global superpowers because they've got the best toys. They've got helicopters, they've got tanks and stuff like that. And there really is no bigger army or no bigger superpower in the world than China. It's going to be a big player over the next few years.
Yeah, but talking about the toys, we just saw a short presentation of the game, and you had a few new weapons in there. Can you describe a bit of the new weapons and new vehicles we can expect in Red River?
So Red River has a class system. You can choose who you want to play as: a rifleman, a grenadier, a scout, and an auto rifleman. And each one has their own strengths, has their own weaknesses, but they also have their own loadout as well. So, for instance, the scout, who's kind of the nearest we've got to a sniper type of character, he has, for instance, he has the DMR and he has the EMR. That's a designated marksman rifle and the enhanced marksman rifle. So they're new weapons. The grenadier, he's all about close quarters combat, so he gets a shotgun. That's a new weapon for the game as well. As well as that, we've got some new Humvees in there as well. You can actually get in and drive these Humvees. And we were very much inspired by kind of Generation Kill, this kind of concept of these guys living in this Humvee for weeks and weeks and weeks on end, almost like a caravan or a camper van kind of thing. So we've really gone to town with the interiors of these things. We've really tried to bring them to life, make them look lived in and gritty and so on. But it's about an infantry experience. So you won't be flying helicopters because the Marines don't fly helicopters. Pilots fly helicopters. But you will still get to, like, especially in co-op, 4 guys in a Humvee on the gun, driving around and stuff. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, because you are really pushing the co-op mode this time. Is it like because you have the different classes? Are you forced to like have one guy be the assault guy, other the sniper, or can you just pick whatever you want?
You can do, it's all about freedom of choice, basically. So if you want to fight a team that's 4 scouts, it's fine. You can do it. You can even online. You can filter your games. So if you don't want to play a game that's all scouts, you can filter for that and make sure you have it all there. It might not be the best way to do a mission, but the choice is there, basically. We leave it completely open for the guys.
Yeah, kind of missions. What kind of thing can we expect? Because you were really talking about, taking out terrorists and then fighting Chinese. What kind of structures can we expect? Are you just getting one objective, you travel to there? What kind of variation can we expect on that point?
So what we've tried to do is we tried to come up with a kind of a gameplay vocabulary. There's types of gameplay that you'll recognise. For instance, there's one mission where you're falling back, you're actually retreating, and that's kind of the whole point of the mission. And the FTEs, the fire team engagements, kind of enhance that a little bit. But what you'll find is that you'll have multiple different objectives. I mean, in the campaign, a mission will play through, depending on how good you are, 50 minutes to maybe an hour, 20 minutes. And during that time, you'll have multiple objectives, basically. You know, it'll be go here and clear this place, cover these guys while they're defusing an IED, move over to here and call in a JDAM, move over to here and clear this building. So there's a real variety of stuff that you'll do on a mission-by-mission basis.
Yeah, and the point of critique for the previous installment was a bit of the AI.
Yeah.
You know, these guys were just very precise. They knew exactly where you were, and just one shot and you were dead. What kind of improvements have you made in that regard?
So we worked a lot on that. I mean, the weird thing is that the AI in Dragon Rising wasn't bad. It was good. It was almost too good in some cases, you know. So we've had to kind of temper that really a little bit. We've done a lot of work on things like. It's all about autonomy, yeah. So it's all about these guys being able to just act on their own and without you having to interfere with them, basically. So the way the AI works now is, as I said before, it's kind of like improv actors. You know, they start the scene, they know what they're supposed to be doing, but we don't script them. We don't tell them exactly what to do. They have a kind of an order system that's above them that they kind of try to achieve. But we've done things like we've worked on the dispersion system to make the accuracy work better. We tweaked the different types, so the insurgents will be quite ragtag compared to the PLA, who are highly trained. So you'll see a real difference in the way that works. But that said, at the end of the day, one bullet will kill you, as I try to convince my designers by taking them out in the car park with a gun and shooting them and so on. But so what we've got is we've still got that same Flashpoint engine under the hood. It's still the same game under there. But what we try to do is we try to give the player more aids this time, more tools, as it were, to do the job. So things like snap to aim, aim assist, and so on. And you can turn all this off if you want to. You know, you can go total hardcore and not have any of this on. So yeah, it's not a case of fixing the AI, it's just a case of improving it and working on it, basically. And I think the other thing that we've got that's working really well is that the actual levels themselves are built around gameplay. So when we were making the game, before we even had the finished assets like, you know, buildings and so on, we had white blocks. So we were testing it from a gameplay point of view. You know, does it work? Is it fun? Whereas in the last game, we kind of built the world and then put the game on it. This time around, we've built the gameplay first, and then we built the world around that gameplay. And I think that's the kind of thing that'll help as well. It's not just one. There's not just one magic sort of silver bullet that fixes everything with that kind of stuff. It's about total experience.
Yeah, and you know, with all these points, do you think Red River will be a lot more accessible for new players than you know, Dragon Rising?
I hope so. I mean, that's the goal. You know, I'm keen to stress that, you know, we're not dumbing the game down. It's not about dumbing the game down. We want more people to play it. That's not going commercial. That's not going, you know, I don't think that there's a game like Red River out there. You know, there's a real space now for tactical shooters. And I think that people are yearning for something a little bit different now as well. I'm sensing like a bit of I don't know, you call it genre fatigue or whatever, but you know, the last reviews of the big shooters, you know, they said, oh yeah, it's good, but it's kind of the same again kind of thing, you know. So I think people are looking for something different, and I think that different thing is Red River. You know, I think gamers of a certain age, you know, hark back to the bygone eras of you know, real hardcores, no saves, all this kind of stuff. You know, so I'm hoping that what we'll do is we will introduce a lot more players to a new type of gameplay, and part of that's really important is console. So originally Flashpoint was just a PC game, you know, high-end, hardcore PC. This time around it's different, you know, it's open to everyone, it's on consoles, it's doing very well on consoles, and that was the big success for Dragon Rising for me, was about 80% of our sales were on consoles, you know. So to me that drives home the fact that people are looking for something a bit different, a bit more challenging, something that makes them think, you know. Yeah,
and one thing that sets you guys apart is you don't have any versus multiplayer. Why didn't you include that? Because it's a very popular mode in a lot of shooters these days.
It is, and you know, there's a lot of shooters out there that have got it, you know, so why copy them? Do something different, and that was really I kind of grounded from this. Games like Left 4 Dead and Borderlands, you know, they were the games that sort of said, well, you can do this, you know, people have done it before, you know, it's not like it's not crazy, you know, to think of it. And we had a little bit of convincing to do when we first came up with the idea, but once everyone sort of understood that we were actually going to build a game around co-op, you know, the whole thing is built around co-op. You're kind of permanently online, people can join you at any time, join you in the campaign, join you in your FTEs. There's 4 players, 4 fire team members, 4 classes. So I think it's for us it's a case of this is the experience we want people to have. There's other experiences out there, and you know, knock yourself out, you know. But personally, I don't like playing multiplayer anymore. I like playing with people I know. I like playing regular friends, and I like playing with people that can think and actually know what they're doing. Especially have some kids sort of, you know, screaming in my ear kind of thing, you know. So I think it's the right move, and I think co-op's going to get bigger and bigger.
All right, well, Red River, are you almost done with it? When can we expect the game, and which platforms?
It's going to be out in April on PlayStation 3, Xbox 360 and PC.
All right, thanks.
It's hard for thee to kick against the pricks. In measured 100 weight and penny pound,